So,
Ooh.
hi Katya.
Hi, Eric.
How you doing?
Amazing. How
Yeah.
are
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to the ET podcast.
you? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, the official. So we've known each other for a while, me and you.
Yeah,
Like
it's been
3 years.
Yeah, I would say so.
2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Actually. Time flies.
Well, 18, 19, 20, 21. I don't know. I'm really bad with math and counting. So, yeah, we used to work together, right?
We used to work together
Yeah.
in Beverly Hills in one of the hotel businesses, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You just moved in from Chicago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Finding my path in Los Angeles.
yes.
Yeah.
How's it going so far with finding your path?
It's okay. I suppose it's coming to an end though. I'm leaving.
You're leaving?
I'm moving to Las Vegas, yeah. I told you that, did I?
Yeah, you did briefly mention it, but I
Okay.
didn't.
Well,
actually
supposed to be at the end of July.
Oh,
My
wow.
lease ends
So it is
here.
happening.
My lease ends here at the end of July. Yeah. I mean, if something happens between now and then, obviously the doors are kind of open, but I don't know. We'll see. For right now, I'm saving and I'm planning for that.
Yeah.
For the move to Vegas. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm excited for you. Hey.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
New chapter in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I guess I've kind of grown into this role of like traveler.
Yeah.
Like I just can't really stay in one place for too long, I suppose.
That's true.
So, but you've traveled around quite a bit too.
I have, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you from?
Originally from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 3 years and a half now since I moved to California and got officially Californicated. And yeah, before that I was traveling around the world, working for one of the best cruise lines. And this is when I figured out that traveling is definitely my second nature. I love it. And I got a chance to visit LA prior to actually moving in. The best factor is that my sister lives in here, so it was easier transition for me. And here I am, 3 years and a half later, super excited, and more things coming my way.
So when did you like officially come to LA to move into LA?
Summer 2017, to be precise.
Oh no shit! So only a year before me.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you were already here for a while before
I know.
we met.
I look pretty professional. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So where in Russia are you from?
Originally from Western Siberia, so it's like a really cold part of Russia, as you can imagine. So one of the.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Is that closer to like proper Europe? You know what I mean?
Well, yes and no.
Because it's on the west side of Russia.
Yeah. My part is like more so on the Kazakhstan area, like border.
Okay.
So.
Is Kazakhstan south? Isn't it south?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. So you're southwest.
Yes.
Of Russia.
Yes.
Gotcha. Are you from like rural Russia or the city, like urban?
It's a town. So it's like 150,000 people. So it's a really not a small city.
That's tiny.
Well, exactly, but it's all relative. So.
Yeah. So you weren't exactly living like farm life.
No.
Yeah, you guys are like.
I never had cows or anything.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have,
Do you have family from the like rural areas out there? What you would call the village?
I mean, yes, but right now my immediate family, they are all from Western Siberia. So it's not like from village. It's a town. Yeah.
Do you tell people you're from Siberia?
I do.
Okay.
And most of the people, they're like, wow, no way. I've never
Yeah.
met actually anybody from Siberia. I'm like, well, here we go. First time for everything.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting like how much people don't know about geographically like areas. People always talk about, parts of Europe and this and that, and they don't really know where it really is.
Right.
But that's kind of relevant to America too, because we talk about cities and states and we don't know where the fuck they're at, right?
True.
Yeah, because my stepfather's Serbian, and Serbians are very mistakenly thought of as Siberians.
Correct. And it's funny to hear that, and I'm feeling bad to correct it every time. But hey, we live and learn, and we educate each other, right?
Yeah, I mean that's that's the great thing about meeting people from kind of all over
Over
the
the
world.
world.
Yeah, I mean, and LA is kind of a very central city for that.
Yeah,
Super
very
diverse.
diverse.
But I spoke about it on one of my other podcasts actually. It's any major city you go to in the States is kind of like
True.
that, right? Very
True.
diverse, right? Have you been
Yeah.
to other cities in the States?
Yes, I have been in quite a few states. It's been Alaska. I've been in Florida, Jersey, New York, very briefly in Arizona, Nevada, and I think a couple more. But yeah.
Your trips to Alaska, were they when you lived in Russia?
No,
Okay.
no, but that was when I was traveling and working for the cruise line. So I was on the um, fishing trips. Yeah, maybe not as exciting for some people, but hey, it was fun. I've had the best salmon. So up to today, it's one of the best I've tried in my life.
Yeah, I could
Fishing is
imagine.
a big business in there, so
It's pretty much all the business,
exactly.
other than tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alaska is extremely rural. There's one major city,
Right.
one or maybe a couple others, but the majorly densely populated area is really Anchorage, right? That's
Yes.
and then I suppose the coastline where the fishermen and the ports are, but very fishing community. That's all they have out there.
Sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've always wanted to go there. Never had really a chance. Never really had a reason to.
Right.
You know.
If you're into fishing, sure, why not?
Yeah, if you're into fishing and
Right.
if you're into the cold, right? I mean, it's cold as fuck out there.
It's funny because Alaska used to be part of Russia, right? And then we sold it for peanuts.
Yeah, you sold it or it was stolen. This and that.
Right. So there was quite a few actually Russian stores, like with the fur hats and archipelago signs and a couple of other like Matryoshka, the Russian dolls, and so that was quite interesting.
That is interesting that you bring that up. I never actually thought about that. I mean, obviously geographically you can look on the map and see Russia is right there.
Mm-hmm.
But is there heavy Russian population in Alaska?
Not that I've met. No, not really. I wouldn't think by now.
I suppose because it's an American property, probably there are. I mean, I don't know the deal with the border and how, if it's the same with Russians trying to get into Alaska or America, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. You never hear about that.
Right.
Never hear about that.
Well, it was like back in the 18th, 19th century, so it was a while ago.
Yeah, yeah. How long were you working on the cruise ships?
It's been 5 years.
You worked for the cruise ships for 5 years.
About 5
How
years.
many different cruise ships did you work for?
6.
6 in 5 years.
Yes.
Pretty good.
It is.
Yeah, you racked them up pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your longest stretch with a company?
Yeah. 6 months.
Oh wow! So you guys hop around often.
Yeah. Twice a year. So
how does it work? You guys are on contracts, right?
Correct.
And then how long do your contracts go to? Like 3 months to 3 to 6 months?
So it depends on the department that you're working for, and it can be like up to from I would say 2-3 months. That's typically like engineering and marine officers, and it can stretch up to 7-8 months if you are working for like in F&B department and the restaurants. That's probably the most hardworking department in there.
The hardest.
Yes.
So the contracts are fairly short.
Well, 7 months. That's not quite short, is it?
Well,
I mean, it's quite a long time to be away from home, and a lot of people actually get homesick. But not that I ever really encountered that, because like since it was part of my nature, I love to travel. That's one of my passions. I didn't feel it. But most of the people, they do, especially the ones that have already families and mouths to feed, right? So those ones was quite tough.
Yeah, that in that perspective, yeah, it makes sense. If you got a family at home, you're probably doing it because you need a job. Does it pay fairly well, the cruise ship life?
The thing is, since it's the regulations are different at sea, so you do not pay taxes, so you can save up quite a bit chunk of money, right? If you are wise with your money.
You don't pay taxes?
You don't.
In what sense? You don't pay income tax?
Yeah, you don't.
Do you pay federal tax?
No.
You don't pay any taxes at all?
Any taxes.
So the money that you make is all yours?
Correct.
That's really interesting.
It is.
I didn't know that.
But I know that for Americans, it might be something, it can be different. It can be different.
Really?
Yeah. I mean.
Okay, so you didn't pay taxes because you weren't an American citizen.
Well, because it's an American company, so, yeah, but we did not pay. And it's legal, okay?
Yeah. Wow, I guess that makes sense if you're at sea, you're on water, you're not really
on land.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. But with Americans, it is different because say you're an American citizen, if you get dual citizenship, or even if you move out of the country, you still have to pay federal taxes.
You do.
Yeah. So it's like a fucking club that you get in and now you can't get out. Yeah, it's kind of like a mafia, you know.
Sure.
If you want out, you gotta die. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
There is a way in, but there is no way out.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean that's the thing with people that come from out of the country and they get citizenship, or Americans that have ties to another country like me. People always ask me, "Do you have dual citizenship?"
You don't have, do you?
I don't anymore. I used to.
You used to?
Well, of course. I was born outside of the country. I had citizenship in Romania.
Oh, wait. So you moved in here when you were what? 4?
When I was 8.
Oh, you were 8?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you were super little.
Well, I was. At 8 years old, I don't think you're really, grown at all. I think at that time, it's kind of like the cusp of when you kind of start to really kind of store memories. But you're still extremely a child. You're not really. You haven't really figured out your personality.
So you lost all the speaking skills, the language skills. Yeah.
So I was born in Romania, in northern Romania. I was like 3 hours from the border of Hungary, actually. And my first language was Hungarian because I was raised as a Hungarian. That's actually a bigger portion of my ethnicity, my nationality. The town I was born in is a Hungarian town, actually, in Romania. A city, actually. It's a city.
Yeah.
And I spoke Romanian because I went to a Romanian school. So, you go to school in Romania.
So you spoke both?
I did.
At the time?
Yeah, at the time, I did. And then when I moved to the States, there was a time when I spoke all three. I spoke Hungarian, Romanian, and English.
Polyglot. And now you got left with English.
Exactly. Yeah, well, America does that to people. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've completely Americanized from my roots.
So you're so-called whitewash.
I guess. That's kind of an interesting way to put it. Whitewash, yeah. Better than white trash.
100%.
Yeah, but... So, do you go back to Russia?
No, I don't. It's been 3 years and a half since I moved in here, and I couldn't go back for certain reasons.
So it's been 8 years?
Yeah, 8 years.
How long has it been since you were back in Russia?
3 years and a half.
Okay, so you were in Russia 3 years ago.
Correct.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought I only said 8 because of the 5 years that you were on the cruise ships.
Oh, yeah, no.
So I assumed you got on the cruise ships.
I didn't jump the ship.
Right. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Don't try to picture the wrong wave here.
That's alright. I mean, thousands of people come across the border every day.
It's funny that we started talking about that because I remember it was when I was like 3 years in.
To what?
For working for the cruise ships, right? And we had quite a few Indian crew members who jumped the ship in Canada. It was like 10 of them.
So they just didn't come back.
They just didn't come back. They strategized their escape so well that by the time when security reached their cabins and they started searching for their personal belongings, hi Jordan, they didn't find it.
Jordan. Sorry. Jordan, get out of here. It's lotion on your hands. Or your arms.
I know.
Jordan.
Thank you for moisturizing my apples.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
So, Russians, were they Russian or just all types
No,
of
they were
ethnicity?
Indians.
Indians,
They're
okay.
from India. So
Okay.
they jumped the ship in Canada, like 10 of them. And
So-
I remember that the security had to put down like really strict restrictions for all crew members to leave the ship. So the hours were cut off. The way that people could get off the ship was really like strict. So it was tough. I remember how everybody was pissed about it, obviously, because it's not our fault, right? Like why everybody has to suffer. But yeah, there was quite a few cases.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, you would think that they, as a company, would think about that.
Right. But
You
you cannot
know?
predict it, you know what I mean? Like
Well,
as
what,
harsh
can't
as
you?
it can. I mean, you can, but it's hard. It's hard because, like, you know, if the crew member is leaving the ship with the backpack, which most of them they do anyways, because we do have to, sometimes to restock our supplies and we do the groceries like everybody else. I mean, why would you question that? Oh, let me see your backpack. It would be really time consuming, and at the same time, it's like I don't know.
No, but this idea that you have foreign workers coming on a ship to
Right.
work. A
Do
ship.
you want me to tell you the ratio of international, like foreign crew members?
No. But my point is that so the ship goes all around the world.
Correct.
It goes to America and Canada. Common countries.
It goes to every single continent, if you will.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So.
But my point is that when people leave their country, typically to find asylum, right, or essentially look for a better life, they come to America or Canada.
Right. Yeah,
So-
that's typically those two countries.
So my point is that I'm surprised it would take an incident of something like that to happen for the companies to realize, oh, we have to put stricter, policies in place so that our crew members don't decide to go AWOL and abandon ship.
Right.
That's my point. Is like, wouldn't you think they would kind of think about that?
No, you wouldn't. Because most of the people that are coming on the cruise ships to work, they're just looking for pretty solid income to come, right? Save the money and then go. Nobody ever thinks, oh, these crew members are planning to jump the ship, Nobody ever has that in their head. Like, that scenario never comes to your head first. I mean, I'm talking about from the authorities' perspective.
Well, I mean, I
I
beg to differ in the sense that when it comes to authority,
right?
Typically they act when something happens, after
Exactly.
something happens. Yeah. So it would make sense that they kind of just sit down and say, hey, you know what? If this happens, then we're gonna take it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Exactly.
just let them do what they want, and then that makes sense. But so after that happened, you guys got a lot stricter with times and all this.
Big time.
When you're coming back to the ship, how does that work? I mean, is there attendance? Do they make sure everybody's
They do.
on the ship?
They definitely do, and moreover, if you're running late, and God forbid if you are late, some crew members, sometimes it happened that they never made it to the ship, but not because they jumped it, just because they got stuck somewhere. They didn't just plan their time accordingly.
So when the ship's scheduled to leave, it leaves.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
not gonna wait for anybody.
I mean, when it comes to the guests, they do wait sometimes. It depends how many people we're waiting for.
That's a little
Obviously,
different.
for one person, it's like they're not going to be waiting for like over a couple of hours. They won't. They will wait half an hour, 1 hour max, and then they have to go.
That's crazy.
Yeah, happened a
That's
couple of
wild.
times. We were like waving to
Some
sorry, you
people
didn't
that
make
were
it.
supposed. Oh my god.
I mean, it's super responsible. Imagine like 2, 3, 4, 5,000, depending on the capacity of the ship. Everybody's waiting for one person. It's like you
Yeah.
would not want to be around,
Yeah.
and hanging out for some time.
No, absolutely.
If I was like one of those guests, but
No.
hey, it happens.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's yeah. But in reference to the crew members
Oh yes.
jumping ship,
hmm
if they realize, hey, this person. When do they determine? Oh, this person's jumped ship. They're not. They're
Well, after the ship have sailed, right? We do have the clearance. There is departure officers that are responsible for matching the capacity, right? If everybody made it, there's certain systems that will be able to track everybody down. And so, obviously, if there is a discrepancy, and then you start looking and searching for those crew members, and then they are going into the cabin, and you just run into, oh, there is no belongings. Everything is gone, like the passports and everything else. Whoa, this is the time when you can realize it the same day. It doesn't take long.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. Because my whole thing was like, well, how do you determine that someone's jumped ship or
just running late?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
You know what I mean? But given the idea that you go into someone's cabin and all the shit's gone, no password, obviously no call, hey, I'm not coming back, right? Then it's probably safe to say that.
Yeah.
They're.
It depends also, I guess, like, because the ships are very diverse, right? Especially like Royal Caribbean International. I'm free to speak about that company. It's a very diverse company, so it will determine how many crew members from the same nationality are missing, or if it's just like random,
Yeah.
That definitely leads you to a certain train of thought.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just essentially it's the same idea of like there's shit's gone in the cabin. Yeah. There's a group of people that are probably closer to each other.
Yeah.
So you did it for 5 years.
Yes.
That's a decent amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of led you to come back to land?
The thing is, we have a saying in Russia, right? Like there is toys. There are toys for each age, right? Meaning, so I overgrown that, I think. It's been 5 miles, so it was a milestone. I kind of set it up in my head that once I reach that time point, I'm gonna be ready to go. Because I've been traveling quite a bit. I've saved the money. I was very wise with it, and I was planning my following steps accordingly. So I was planning to move to the States, right? And my decision was falling into moving to LA. And,
are there people that kind of fall into that lifestyle, like career-wise?
Oh yes, 100%.
That do it for just years?
Years and years, especially the captains. They have a very generous beneficial package, and they are flying with the first class, and the salary is pretty good. So I do not see why not would you want to do that. It's like the same with pilots, right?
Well, yeah, and in that sense, I think it's a little different. When you look at like captains of ships that essentially devote their life to the sea.
True, but the contract is also like pretty shorter than the rest of the crew. It's only 2 months, I want to say, maybe like 2 months and a half, more or less. So it's a decent time, and then you spend just as much at home.
When you're on a ship, who runs the show? Who's the top boss? Are there several bosses?
Yeah, I guess. Well, the captain is the one, the staff captain.
The captain. I mean, he's like the president, right? I mean, he runs everything. He has authority over everybody.
He's running the ship and obviously has the team of officers, marine officers, who are delegated all the navigation.
The navigation of the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because there's a difference between like captain and crew, and then like a hospitality and entertainment.
Yes.
Right.
But it all goes along together because there are different events during the itinerary, right? Like there is a captain's night. So the captain has certain responsibilities where he has to be more visible than the rest of the days, right? This is when the time when he's dining with the guests. It's like a very exclusive list of the guests that can get into the dinner with him. And then there is a hotel director who is just essential as, captain, staff captain, and a couple of other executive managers, right? They essentially all play along together, and there are different. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. It's been a minute. They have events. So they're socializing with the guests, being like social butterflies. So just keeping everybody entertained. And this is the time when everybody can see them. Oh, who's actually behind the wheel and the steering wheel. And it's just kind of give them the sense of exclusivity, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I mean, the captain, is he kind of like a celebrity?
Kind of. A lot of people are willing to take the picture with him on the formal nights and whatnot. So it's interesting to see.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been on one cruise in my life.
Which one?
It was a Disney cruise.
Oh.
Yeah,
when we
were kids. Well, I was a teenager. My sister was very young. It was more so for my sister.
Yeah.
But obviously, I mean, a cruise is a cruise.
But what kind of impression did you have as a kid from?
Well, again, I wasn't really a child. I think I was like 15 or 16.
Okay.
So I was still a kid, but to me it was like Disney, a bunch of little kids running around.
Right.
But
so you felt like you overgrown that.
Well,
Cool.
I felt like it was more for my sister,
Oh.
But there was a large group of us, kids, teenagers that were there as well, obviously, and the ship, I mean, I'm sure you know, had stuff for that as well. And
yeah.
It was cool. I mean, it was one of my most memorable vacations.
Would you go back?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Well, probably not on Disney, but.
Yeah, I mean, if I had kids and shit, yeah, I would absolutely take my kids. But yeah, I would definitely go back on a cruise. Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, it's a good time. It's a good time, and the fact that it goes to different ports and drops you out. We went to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
This and that. My point was, I never recall ever seeing the captain or having
having any sort of... as a teenager, you don't really focus on those kind of things. You're just prioritizing other things, right? Like where to go in the bumper cars or
what kind of girls I can hang out with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's the other thing too. I wasn't as interested or as curious about the ship life.
Yeah.
As kind of I am right now. So yeah, my focus was not there at all. But I don't. But that's my point. Is I don't ever recall there ever being any focus on the captain at any point of the trip, the dinner or this and that. But it's kind of an interesting aspect. If I went on a ship now, I'd be like, where's the captain? Where's the captain? Who the fuck is this guy? But it's kind of crazy how those dynamics work, kind of on land and then when you go off to sea.
Yeah. It's funny because the way I got into the cruise industry was, it goes back to 2009, I think. So I was an exchange student, right? There is a program, Work and Travel. And basically after I was working in one of the states, which I'm not willing to disclose, because somebody's making fun the way I pronounce it. Do you want to help me out?
Idaho?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Idaho?
Hello to my favorite agricultural state. So after I was working there for a couple of months, I was able to save quite a bit of money, right?
Okay.
And then my sister proposed an idea. Hey, let's go for a cruise. I'm like, sure. I'm down. So we went on the cruise, and I started talking to one of the former USSR country crew members, right? And I started talking to her and getting to know the nature of the job and how long is the contract and whatnot, right? Like with all the intricacy.
What cruise did you go on?
Oh, that was Carnival.
Okay.
So nothing fancy, but hey.
Oh, I wouldn't know.
But at the time, it was so exciting and fascinating. And 3 years later, here we go. I was one of those crew members. It's just interesting how the life rolls, right? You never really know till you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's how essentially I got into hospitality. I think I was telling you the other night. I went on vacation to Mexico and spent time at a resort.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to work on this resort. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. Eventually I come back to Illinois, and then I'm in hospitality school. I'm working at a hotel. So yeah, it's interesting how those dynamics work and how they influence us to go this way and that way.
Yep, exactly.
Well, that's the thing about kind of life and this idea of free will. You know, it's a common kind of, I guess, debate whether we have free will or not. You know, and it's like, and my whole initial idea was that we don't, because everything we kind of do, decisions that we make,
we're destined.
Well, destined, one, but they're influenced
by
our emotions or people around us, right? Like, if you would have never gone on that cruise with your sister, would you have gotten into the cruise ship life?
I might have not. I might have. I don't know.
And then would you have ended up in Los Angeles 5 years later?
Well, that part probably I would still do, but as far as going into the route of cruising industry, I don't know.
I guess the argument is that once the opportunity for you to join the cruise ship life, that's where your free will comes in. And
I guess.
Essentially, you could have chosen not to.
True.
But you would still have ended up in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So in a sense, you get to still say that you're destined for something.
Yeah.
So if you're destined for it, then where's your free will?
Well, I was destined for that because I set up my mind like that. So I was working towards that goal. So...
Of ending up in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Since my first time coming to LA, I already knew that I'm going to end up here. It's just a matter of time for me.
Where would you say your desire to end up in Los Angeles came from?
Where my desire come from? Just from the experiences that I got to share in here.
Do you think if you would have gone to, let's say, Miami or Chicago, and would there have been a possibility that it influenced you to go and live in those cities?
I don't know. Maybe not.
Have you ever been to Chicago?
Chicago, no.
Have you ever been to Miami?
Yes.
Okay. That's a big port city for the cruise,
right?
It
is. We used to go there. I remember.
What do you think of Miami?
I thought like it's a party city. It's a party city, but when you're probably between 20-30, that's a great spot to start with, maybe, right? But at the point where you're not trying, but after 30, you feel like you are getting ready for settling down. I don't think Miami is definitely the first city, and Florida is not the first state that comes to my mind. Just, in my humble opinion.
Well, Florida is actually a pretty good state to settle down in.
As a state, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about just the city, I gotta rephrase myself.
Yeah, the city of Miami is fucking wild. I mean,
it is.
There's no doubt about it.
There's every time something on social media pops up, like the crazy chicks are fighting, or it just has like a pretty wild nightlife.
You can say that actually about Florida too, in a whole, because a lot of crazy shit comes out of Florida.
Yeah.
But Miami in particular is a fucking wild city, and yeah, I don't think it's a settling down city at all. I don't see how anybody.
You have been in Miami too.
I used to live there.
So here we go. What's your experience like?
Yeah, the same, exactly. I mean, just you could tell by the way I'm talking about it. It's completely party, and there is not really room for.
It's kind of like Vegas in a sense, Some things just never change. Well, I mean, not to disrespect by all means your life decision.
No, it's okay. No, honestly, last year. I would have, if you would have asked me, are you ever going to live in Vegas? I would have told you, fuck no. Because the first time I went to Vegas, I was like, there's no fucking way I would ever live here. Who the fuck in their right mind would want to live here?
So what made you change your mind?
That's the point. It's just, your mind evolves, I think. As you just go through life and your experiences and things influence you. And, experiences, memories that you have with people in certain times, in certain places, they influence your interests and
Right.
your essential desire. And I feel like people's desires typically are they get pushed towards good memories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go to a
I
certain
can see
place,
that.
you have a great memory that is important to you for
Mhm.
whatever reason.
Emotional.
Your essential, desires are gonna sort of be influenced and shaped based off of those memories,
Right.
those good feelings. And that's one of the reasons why over time and being in Las Vegas kind of really stuck with me. And Vegas, I
So you have some sweet memories.
yeah, I have good memories in Vegas. I
Okay.
had good times, and they've changed my perception of Vegas
Mm-hmm.
in a way that, and then in addition to that, now it's a cheap place to live.
The taxes are.
There's no tax. Essentially, there's no state tax. There's no state income tax. It's one of the best places to have and own a business, which is
Yes.
something I want to do. And to me, that's how I've come with this decision. Like, why don't I just move there? And you move there. It has all the check marks, right? You're a fan of that,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what's going on with me.
Yeah.
Are you ever gonna leave LA?
I don't know. I cannot tell you that 100% right now. I mean, nothing is really certain. Tomorrow is not certain, so.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about that. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Los Angeles? What are your thoughts on what's going on right now?
The thing is, it's going like right now. It's wild thing, especially when it comes down to like homelessness. It's crazy. It's I was reading the other day. It's like 165,000 homeless people in LA. So, and it was 1/3 that grew during pandemic.
That's as large as your hometown.
Yes, and it's insane. And like I just happened to drive by in by Santa Monica right the other day, and I was flabbergasted by the amount of homeless people, and they're like fighting with each other, and it's like not a pleasant scene right now to see. So my before place to go to, like as far as beaches, right? Santa Monica was one of them, but right now I cannot do that. It's very sad, and I'm not sure if it's going to be moving forward with the same speed of growing homelessness. Then I'm not sure. I would definitely consider moving out. And as far as growing taxes, and right now I'm like super upset with about 43% that Biden's trying to implement for entrepreneurs that are trying to
Entrepreneurs.
yes, entrepreneurs.
Okay. 43% of entrepreneurs.
43% of taxes that he's trying to increase it up to 43%.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think on the rich, right?
Yeah.
He wants to tax the rich.
Right.
Up to 43% of the wealthy entrepreneurs in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah. So you're completely discouraging to become one.
Well, the thing is too is people don't realize, oh yeah, let's tax the rich, right? And thinking, yeah, let's leave the smaller guys alone. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that there is no leaving the smaller guys alone, because when you hit the big guys, that everything trickles down,
Mm-hmm.
right? The reason that an Amazon worker makes $15 an hour for a guy that's worth billions of dollars, nearly $1 trillion now,
Yeah.
is because that's how it works. When you have big companies and big people at the top, they make all the money that the company makes goes in their pockets.
Mm-hmm.
The little people at the bottom that do all the work, they make the least amount of money. This is how a business works. It just is. And so when you go to the top and hit those guys, their pockets,
Yeah.
because that's what you're doing. When you're
Mm-hmm.
taxing them and you're hitting their pockets, that is going to trickle down to all the way down to the bottom of the guy.
Yeah, like a domino effect.
Exactly. So this idea that, oh yeah, let's clap for fucking Biden, hitting the big guys, the rich guys. Are people fucking retarded? Like, this is going to hit the people at the bottom drastically,
Mm-hmm.
possibly even more. Because a rich motherfucker can afford to pay more taxes. The guy making $15 an hour can't. That's why he's making $15 an hour, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of ridiculous. Not to mention, it's gonna inflate everything. I mean, it's kind of crazy to see. So does that, as being a resident of California, that weigh on you in your decision of paying so much taxes and living in such a poverty-stricken area? Does that influence you to leave?
Absolutely. Yes, and I was following Patrick Bet-David. I'm like following him religiously, right? He's one of the best entrepreneurs, life coach, and whatnot. And so a lot of entrepreneurs right now moved out of California. First it was to Texas, right now it's to Florida because of the taxes, because of the homelessness. And I don't really see it going any better at the moment. We'll see how it's going forward. But the idea of moving out eventually, yeah, it kind of started sinking in my head. I'm not gonna lie. As much as I love LA, as much as I love, California and all this weather, but you're essentially paying for this weather way too much, I feel like.
Absolutely. I mean, and last year they even proposed a good weather tax. Yeah, I mean, these politicians are just the fucking scumbags that steal the money from the people, in my opinion. But where would you move to if you decide to leave Los Angeles?
Well, for me, weather is going to be definitely a decisive factor. I'm not sure.
In all seriousness, sure. Arizona is actually a pretty good state.
Yeah.
It's really hot.
Really nice.
It's really hot, but it's really cheap, and again, it's nice weather.
A couple of my friends moved to Arizona, actually. They love it.
Arizona's a good one, and you can always move a little further north. Colorado is a good one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got Utah. I mean, there's a lot of that central United States.
Right.
It's fairly rural. It's fairly not densely populated. Not yet. But it will increasingly become so in the next 10 to 20 years for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing to me. It's interesting when people talk about this idea that there's too many people on Earth. I think it's bullshit. I mean, if you take a plane from LA to Chicago, you can see how much land is there that is uninhabited. It's fucking ridiculous. What do you think about that?
Well, because I feel like some of the states are more densely populated than the others. No?
No. Well, the thing is that when you're talking about density and population, you're really only looking at the cities, and I'm looking at states. Because the states, the people are spread out. If you look rurally by land like area, everybody's houses are like miles apart. Until you get into a denser city.
Like, for example, look at San Francisco. Even I haven't been there, but I know that it's very densely populated. It's like, I don't know how many people per...
It's actually not anymore.
No?
No, it's like, there was an exodus. People left, which is what's happening here in Los Angeles now.
Are you talking about the pandemic or just...
No, I'm talking about in general. In San Francisco, San Francisco's population is like 700,000 people. It's not a lot of people. Yeah. Population in LA County, it's like 10 million. It's a lot of people, a lot more people, right?
Yeah.
So you can literally cut off Southern California, essentially starting, which is not Southern anymore, but San Francisco. You can cut it off and create a whole state on its own. But even so, you go an hour outside of Los Angeles, it's empty. Go outside an hour of Los Angeles in any direction, except obviously west.
Yeah.
But you go Santa Barbara, it's dead. I mean, there is a lot of land, despite the density of the city, and that's what I just don't think people really understand. People that don't ever leave the city, it's like, dude, there's a lot of land out there.
Yeah.
And it's not. We're not in this like bubble of like, give me room.
Right. Well, I feel like because it's so centered in LA, everybody wants to get in here. That's why people are not willing to drive, 1 hour away from LA. That's what it comes down to, I feel like. It's not as popular. It's not as central.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and especially given how much of the population is literally foreign, out of state. When those people come to LA, they don't want to leave LA. Like you were saying, or they don't even know where
Unless
to
you're
go.
forced to. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even know where to go. So, but that's kind of a wild idea. It is unfortunate because LA. I hate saying LA. I like saying Southern California because Southern California is an awesome place. It's an awesome place to be, but the politics have completely destroyed this area of California, in my opinion. And it's kind of looking like a pretty valid pattern that's going on in major states in the country, essentially. So I don't know where it's going. I don't think it's going to get better, though.
As much as I'm trying to keep my hopes high, right now I don't see that coming. I don't see any improvements. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to just want more money, the politicians. The whole woke movement with the trans, and now you got Kendall or Kaylee, whatever the fuck, Jenner, trying to get into office.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner, the Bruce Jenner, the guy who became a woman, and now she's the bravest person on the planet because she has tits. It's fucking wild. I mean, the when you look at the dynamics of society and how it's changed over time, over history, they've actually said that when the fall of a empire is at its brink, there's a pattern. So when they look at like Rome, for instance, I've heard this on several podcasts. That's how I'm speaking about it. I really don't know shit about it, but the fact that we become obsessed with sexuality, we become obsessed with food.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. So these are the few things. There's more. I just can't think right now. But the fact that there's a pattern between, hundreds of years ago and today, and we're supposed to be modernized. I mean, I think that speaks. I think there's validity there. You know what I mean? There's something to look at there and recognize.
Yeah.
The fact that we might very well be at the end of our stretch as an empire, as an America.
That's scary.
It's really fucking scary. Yeah, it's really scary. But the other thing is too that when you look at history, things have happened. People have died. People have. But we've always.
By the way, Biden just admitted the genocide
of
the Armenian one.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's
just recently though, and it's been 100 years.
I mean, whether they admit it or not, everybody knows the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's interesting to me that once somebody, in power admits something, now it's like all of a sudden reality.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, but we've known these things. It shouldn't be a surprise that, it's like if Kamala Harris came out tomorrow and said, "Oh yeah, I used to incarcerate black people."
Oh, yeah,
hey, it's like we've all known this, right? But it's just like this is how people work. They choose to believe what they want to believe, not necessarily factual. And that's the thing too. It's like when you have an argument for something, and then when you're giving facts, now the facts are being, analyzed, and or they're like chosen. Like what fact is valid? Regardless of the facts, as people want to push their arguments. It's like it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But this is humanity.
People are forced to believe in the reality that is convenient for certain political figures.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it just speaks to the fall of this great kind of country that we've had or built. Again, we can always rebuild, I think, regardless of how bad it gets or not. Obviously, we all hope it doesn't get
Mhm,
bad to the,
mhm.
you know, but who can really say? We can be optimistic of the fact that it's gonna get better. It's gonna change and
Yeah.
this and that. But who knows? It could get worse.
True.
So, but I don't know. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So,
Patiently. Mhm.
yeah. But Idaho is not an option for you.
Definitely not. As
Yeah.
much as I love it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, I definitely considering the state that is that has a lot going on. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about the crazy stuff.
Would you ever
The
move?
crazy point. I'm talking about like it has to be like California. But New York for me is too crazy. It's like too dynamic. It's
Well,
like
New
very
York is
business.
cold.
And it's cold. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do cold.
No.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Would you ever move back to Russia?
No, I don't think so.
It's too cold.
It's too cold. I honestly forgot what the winter feels like. What the snowfalls feels like. And every time when I do miss it, hey, Big Bear's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, in Big Bear you can literally walk around in a t-shirt.
Yeah, right now I probably
Yeah, compared to how
can.
actual winter is,
Oh yeah,
Big Bear is
that's
like,
crazy.
I don't think it gets below 30 degrees over there in Big Bear.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it gets
No.
to 32.
It's like my mild spring.
Yeah. I mean, so that's not
That's
even.
nothing.
No, that's what I'm saying. You got guys snowboarding in fucking t-shirts over there. So.
Yeah, you saw that right.
Yeah, that was you. Yeah, snowboarding in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Okay, Katya. Well, looks like we've just talked just for under an hour.
Mhm.
So thanks so much for coming.
Of course,
Thanks.
always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for doing this.
That's my fun.
Yeah, I always enjoy talking to people that have insights from different parts of the world. I think it's important.
It is.
And so thank you again. And if you ever decide you want to come back, you're always welcome.
Thank you. I'll
So,
consider it.
and good luck in finding your next home if you ever leave Los Angeles.
Yes. And good
Yeah.
luck to you on your new adventures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Super
You're gonna have to come out and visit me in
Yeah,
Vegas.
for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I like Vegas. Once in a while, it's fun.
Yeah, for like a couple days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. It's been
All
fun.
right. Thanks, guys. Take care. All right.